Welcome back to DBS and the DFL studio with Glenn Wilson, Master Trainer of St. John Ambulance, and Fernando James, EMT. I hope you've got your pen and paper ready because we're going to ask you some questions to test if you would know what to do and in an emergency situation very soon. Now, Glenn, tell us a little about yourself and your job.
Actually, I am the Master Trainer with St. John Ambulance. Part of my responsibility involves training trainers for St. John, as well as going out into communities, organizations, and equipping persons with the knowledge and skills required to save a life.
And how do you find that it's a requirement that people take seriously, or they just do it because they feel it's part of their job?
I think that with organizations, some organizations do take that particular responsibility very seriously. I think, however, in the public eye, it is not as serious as persons should.
Okay, and we're going to delve into that a little bit later. Fernando, tell us a bit about you and your job.
Okay, Fernando James. I'm one of the leading EMTs, or emergency medical technician by definition, of the St. Lucia Fire Service. And my profession deals a lot with providing pre-hospital emergency care out in the field when someone gets hurt or injured or sick and they need an ambulance to transport them definitely to a medical care facility.
Okay. I would say that that is not a job that a lot of people would like to, and I wouldn't like to do that job because you're dealing with people who are going to be unwell more than
Definitely.
people who are going to be well. Do you find that a strain on your personal emotions?
Yes, it's a very high stressful profession because you see all different kind of things, from persons bleeding to the dying. And of course, it can be very stressful, especially with different types of populations, the elderly versus children. I personally get very emotional when it comes to children because I have 2 children of my own. But I do get a good handle after so many years. But besides that, at any time, it can affect you, especially there might be injuries or illnesses with many people.
And I think for you and for many of us, especially those people who have been in certain situations, the worst thing about this whole thing about emergency is the fact that sometimes it could be avoided. If the people knew what to do for some of the situations, the actual outcome could have been avoided. And I'm sure that you've heard that in both the things that you do, that if people knew exactly sometimes people think they're doing the right thing, but actually they're not. They're actually making the situation worse. So I would like us, so we're going to go through and talk about some of those situations. So don't forget, viewers, if you have any particular questions you want to ask in that kind of direction, we're here for you tonight. But as I said before, we're going to have a quiz, and I'm going to ask you the question, and I want you to write the answer down straight away, okay? Don't wait. Write the answer down straight away. Now, here we go. What is the minimum amount of water that you need to store for one adult for 2 weeks? What is the minimum amount of water that you need to store for one adult for 2 weeks? Do you know the answer? The answer is 14 gallons. This amount allows one adult 1 gallon of water to use per day for 14 days. Realistically, how many of you can say, I'm going to go into my kitchen now because I've got that? Hands up? Okay, if your car stalls while you're evacuating from a flood, you should A, stay inside the car until assistance can arrive, B, leave it, C, call a towing service, or D, flag someone down to help you start it. Of course, if that happens, leave the car. Okay, leave the car. Okay, true or false? Small games and a teddy bear can be very important to keep in your 72-hour kit. Is that true or false? What's your answer? What's the answer over here? Glenn, what's the answer to that?
It's true.
Why?
Well, then in the event you have children, then you have something to keep them occupied.
Now, a lot of people wouldn't think of that, would they? They wouldn't think that. I suppose you think of your
essentials. Yes.
But you don't think about something for the children,
Yes.
and that's very important because they're going to be just as nervous, if not more nervous than you are. So that's something for you. So that, of course, is true. All right. Here's another question for you. The most dangerous part of the hurricane is the breaking waves, the gale force winds, or the flood causing rains or landslides. Which one is it? Which one is it? Of course, it's the breaking waves. Now, if you don't know that, think about all these things. I'm going to ask you one more question. What should you do when an earthquake strikes? Do you run outside to avoid falling building debris? Do you take cover under a heavy piece of furniture? Do you panic? Do you lean against an inside wall or stand under a doorway? Well, you can do a combination of things. You can lean against an inside wall or stand under a doorway, okay? And there are other things that you can do, but those are the most important things. Now, I'm going to ask one more question, just because we have Fernando here, and he can maybe respond to that one. If blood is spurting from a wound, what should you do? You can answer that question.
Apply a tourniquet, cover the wound with a clean cloth, and apply continuous pressure with the palm of your hand. Take measures to avoid direct contact with blood, such as using a disposable glove. Most likely you would have to apply direct pressure to that wound. If a clean cloth, it may not be sterile, but you do not apply a tourniquet. By applying a tourniquet or like a constricting band or of that nature, like a wire or so forth, it most likely will stop the bleeding, but then it will allow for bacteria or what we call toxins to accumulate, and when it's released now, it will cause severe infection, and at the end of the day, your limb will be lost.
Well, you see, a lot of people don't know that, because that's what they do, don't they? They put something very tight, too tight, and even sometimes, you know, you can see if it's the fingers and whatever, you see the skin discoloration and everything. Black and blue, yes, and people still think it's okay. So, you know, did you know that? All right, now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to skip some of these because I want to talk to you because I know you're going to be leaving us shortly.
Yes,
when you go out, what is the main things that you find people are doing wrong?
Well, especially with motor vehicle accidents, as everyone would call it, but usually it's not an accident because there would be awareness and of the driver or drivers. But when we talk about motor vehicle accidents, definitely it wasn't an accident. It was most likely the carelessness of the driver or drivers that occurred on the roads. Again, with crashes or collisions, when I say crashes, I refer to a vehicle hitting a stationary object. And when I refer to collisions, there are two or more vehicles involved. You would find injury, severe injury, and that is either the driver or the occupants. But when it's an accident, it's not an accident because the drivers didn't take due care and attention for themselves and other road users, whether it be commuters or other motorists.
And of course, a lot of that results in fatalities. It's not just a matter of, well, they went to hospital. There actually are fatalities. So another question I'd like to ask you, I mean, how would you deal with the following? There are quite a few of them, but I just want to make clear to our viewers, sometimes you assume you know, this is what you do. Okay, how would you deal if someone is choking?
Well, if someone is choking, depending on if it's an adult or a child or an infant, if someone is choking, they would show you the universal signal of choking, preferably with one hand or two hands choking the neck or grasping the neck. You would actually see that sign. Definitely you would ask them, are you choking? And well, it may sound foolish to say that because you can see them choking, and they would not. You would encourage them to cough. Most likely the coughing could allow the object, if it's a foreign object, to be expelled out of the mouth. Again, the choking can be a result of no object, where he or she might be suffering from an allergic reaction, and there's not much you can do when that occurs. But if someone is choking from maybe a hot dog or an ackee or a plum or tamarind balsam or something of that nature, and the coughing doesn't result in the object being expelled, then you would most likely have to perform a technique called the Heimlich maneuver, where you would probably have to stand behind the individuals, behind him, at his back, and place your hand just above his belly button, but well below the rib cage, and of course with a closed fist, and perform abdominal thrust. And this would allow, provide a negative pressure and pushes it out.
Now you say, of course. For you, it's of course.
Yes.
But a lot of people would not know that, because you're actually saying, punch this person in the stomach. A lot of us would actually, I know what we were taught to do is tap them on the back, you know, not tap, give them a good whack on the back. Now, is there anything wrong in doing that?
Maybe in some training courses you may see that, but it's usually performed the slaps in the back, especially with infants, maybe not with adults or children. And then again, to learn these skills, you would have to, of course, get a specialized training course. It would be very simple to learn and understand because we have training institutions on island that can teach you. And of course, it will be very recommended for everybody in our population. And I say specifically to our teachers and our daycare providers, because we find a lot of infants, babies, they always put something into their mouths, and this is one of the most possible causes of choking.
Okay, we're going to go to a break, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about that when we return in terms of other things that we should know. But a reminder of tonight's giveaway question. To win an official first aid kit, tell us what year was St. John Ambulance first established in St. Lucia. To win a shirt from AF Valmore, Valmore has 20% discount for dads ending this Sunday. Tell us which Valmore location has a clothing department that opens on Sunday. And how long has Sisson's Infinity Colour Shop been in operation? Is it 3, 4 or 5 years? You'll win a wonderful package for dad. The questions are on our website, DeLawFactorLive.com, and Facebook, The Law Factor Live TV show. We'll be right back after the break.